The 15-year-old boy was diagnosed with diabetes. His parents didn't believe this. They thought he was possessed. Because of this, they let him rot away to nothing. There is a specific kind of silence that exists in the wake of a preventable tragedy. It isn't peaceful, it is heavy, suffocating and indicting. In May 2013, that silence filled a bedroom in a home on Citadel Way in Calgary, where 15-year-old Alex Radita took his final breath. But Alex hadn't been vocal for a long time. By the time first responders arrived, he was less a teenager and more a biological map of systematic failure and parental cruelty. To understand the end, we have to look at the state of Alex's body, a sight so harrowing it left veteran police officers and paramedics traumatised. Alex weighed just 2.5 stone. At 15 years old, he weighed less than a healthy 4-year-old. His body was a skeletal landscape of untreated illness. He was covered from head to toe in necrotising sores, festering open wounds that had eaten through his flesh down to the bone. One particularly gruesome ulcer on his neck was so deep it exposed his submandibular gland. His teeth had rotted into black stumps. His eyes were sunken into a skull that was barely covered by parchment-thin skin, and his hair was thinning from profound malnutrition. The cause of death was listed as bacterial sepsis, a direct result of starvation and untreated diabetes. But the how is far more sinister than a medical definition. Alex had been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes years earlier in British Columbia. At that time, social workers intervened because his parents, Emil and Radita, refused to accept the diagnosis, believing instead that Alex was possessed or that the insulin was a poison. For a brief window, Alex was placed in foster care. He thrived, he gained weight, he smiled, and he went to school. But then the system, in an attempt to reunify the family, returned him to his parents. The family then moved to Alberta, effectively dropping off the grid. For the next several years, Alex became a ghost. His parents didn't enroll him in school, they didn't take him to a doctor. Instead, they watched him wither. Evidence presented in court showed that the Raditas chose prayer over insulin. As Alex's body began to consume itself, a process called ketoacidosis, his parents watched his muscles waste away and his skin break open into the lesions that would eventually kill him. The night he died, the family held a resurrection prayer circle. They didn't call 911 when he stopped breathing. They waited until he was cold. When the medical examiner performed the autopsy, they found that Alex's stomach was almost entirely empty. He had been starving in a house full of food, dying of a manageable disease in a country with universal healthcare. The judge who convicted Emil and Radita of first-degree murder described the case as extraordinary in its cruelty. Alex didn't die from a lack of resources. He died because the two people responsible for his life chose to watch him suffer in silence for years.